Well, a very, very happy Wednesday morning to everyone. Welcome to the John Kentera Show. Glad you could join me. We have a lot to cover. I'll tell you right off the bat, Padres off today. Good win yesterday over the Halos. Padres really didn't play any of their big name guys yesterday. We'll get into that. We're going to talk about Walker Buehler. We're going to talk about Joe Musgrove. We're going to talk about Nick Pivetta, Ramon Laureano. A lot to get to today. We're going to talk about the two college basketball programs in town. UC San Diego going to be playing later tonight over in Henderson, Nevada at Lee's Family Forum. We'll tell you about that. We're going to tell you about San Diego State. They're going to get underway in Mountain West Conference play on Thursday. A lot to get to, and we're definitely going to talk about the WBC and what predicament they've put themselves in. But right off the bat, want to thank everyone for tuning in. Would like you to subscribe. We're working our way towards 4,000 subscribers, and very much appreciate it if you're tuned in, whether your first time or you've been tuning in and haven't subscribed. Just takes a second. Appreciate it if you'd subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, and also if you'd like to help support our channel. For $2.99 a month, you can become one of our Gold Glove award participants. So would very much appreciate that. Just hit the join button on the YouTube page, $2.99 a month, and we'll continue to bring you the best content out there locally, regionally, and if we need to, nationally. We're not gonna avoid any of the stories. And as far as Padre content, you're not going to get better Padre content anywhere than right here 3 days a week. I can promise you that. Um, let's get rolling here because there's a lot I've got to say today, and we're really going to get into the WBC and what happened last night with Team USA getting beat by Italy 8-6. Padres right now in spring training are 9-9. I mentioned they're off today. They play tomorrow night at 6:10. They go against Kansas City. Padres, reminder, break camp Monday, March 23rd. I mean, the days are counting down right now to that season opener against the Detroit Tigers, and more than likely Tarek Skubal going to throw that opening day for the Tigers. We don't know who the Padres are going to go with, and we're going to get into that definitely today. But again, the Padres break camp Monday, March 23rd after their game against Seattle at 12:10. And I would imagine if the regulars participate, they're going to play about 3 innings. And before that game's over, they're going to have their cars packed, and they're going to be on their way back to San Diego getting ready for the opener. Now, yesterday, in Tempe, Diablo Stadium. I love Diablo Stadium, by the way. Walker Buehler made his second outing of the spring. And really, the numbers were okay. 3 2/3. He gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. Not bad second time out. So far in the spring, he's 2-0. Not that the record matters. His ERA is at 5.40. Doing some really good things. Padres seem to be really, really happy with him. They're trying to remake him as a pitcher. He's really relied his entire career on the four-seam fastball. Yesterday, he threw, I don't know, 6 or 8 four-seam fastballs. He's working that sweeper. He's got his changeup, moving the ball in and out, up and down, pitching backwards, as we like to say in the pitching world. Padres came away, Ruben Niebla came away very excited about what they saw out of Walker Buehler yesterday. And the thing that I like, he threw 68 pitches yesterday. So you give him another start and get him up to, maybe 75, 80, maybe even 85 pitches. He got to be good to go if he can win that fifth spot in the rotation. But there may be more than one spot open in the rotation. We'll get to that. But yesterday, Walker Buehler, very good outing. They went with left-hander Jackson Wolf. He went 2 1/3 yesterday, gave up a hit, a walk, 3 strikeouts. Bradley Rodriguez, I think, is going to make this roster. We saw bits and pieces of him last year. A big arm guy, just, very little major league experience. The only experience he got was the times he got to pitch for the Padres last year. But he's had a great spring yesterday. 1 inning, a couple of punch-outs. Hasn't given up a run yet in the spring. Garrett Hawkins, 1 inning, a hit. And young 25-year-old minor leaguer Francis Pena, an inning, a hit, a walk, and a strikeout. And I mentioned none of the big names really played yesterday in the game. They had a few guys, but nothing to write home about. Jace Bowen, a 1-for-4 day, a solo homer, drove in 4 runs. Nick Solak, who's had a really solid spring, went 2-for-3, scored a couple of runs, and continues to swing the bat very well, hitting .355 in the spring. And you go back to Monday, Padres played at home, got beat by Texas 4-1. They were out hit 6-4. Man, I'll tell you what, there was some bad defense in this game. There were 6 total errors. Texas made 4, Padres made 2. Randy Vasquez made his 3rd outing of the spring, and he gave up 2 runners that scored in the second inning. He left 2 runners on in the first. Second inning, he gave up 2 runs. William McIver, ground ball RBI single to right, and then Brandon Nimmo double or tripled inside the first base bag down into the right field corner that drove in a run. But after that, Randy, I thought, pitched really well. I mean, he pitched 2 scoreless innings after that, good bounce back. All in all, 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. So far in the spring, 3 games, 0-1 with a 2.08 ERA. I mean, his numbers in the spring have been great. 8 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, walks a little bit high, 5 walks, but 7 strikeouts. Batters in the Cactus League batting .133 against Randy Vasquez. And the big thing with him, his velocity is up like 2 to 3 miles an hour. And that's good now, but can he hold that? Can he hold that into, August and September and hopefully in October? Well, only time will tell. But he's coming into the prime of his career, and he's in great shape. They told him, hey, you were in good shape last year. We want you in the best shape of your career. And you know what? He heeded those words and has come in great condition. So pretty good effort yesterday, or I should say on Monday, by Randy Vasquez. They had Luis Gutierrez pitched a little bit the other day. David Morgan pitched the other day. He's another guy that's had an outstanding spring, hasn't given up anything. Coming off last year, very impressed with David Morgan. Jeremiah Estrada the other day. Adrian Morejon. He did give up a couple of hits and a run, but overall, the Padre bullpen is going to be fine. I'm not worried about the Padre bullpen. Jason Adam is making progress. I don't know if he'll be on the opening day roster. Yuki Matsui down right now. Probably not going to be on the opening day roster. In fact, Friday, we're going to talk about the bullpen. Because today we're going to talk about the starting rotation. But on Friday, I'm going to give you who I think will be on the opening day roster for the bullpen. And I'll tell you a guy that I really like. And I talked about him on Monday, and that's Kyle Hart. I think Kyle Hart probably wins the spot in this bullpen for the Padres. He has really had a solid spring to this point. Okay, we got to get to our man, Joe Musgrove, and see exactly where he's at. Now, I think I said Monday that I didn't think Joe would be ready for the start of the regular season. And I'm going to tell you that I had no idea what was going on with him. I had no idea. A lot of the things that I bring up are from times working with pitchers and seeing how things are going. And Joe has only thrown since he made that start against Great Britain. It was a week ago today, March 4th. He made that start. He's thrown 1 bullpen, and now it sounds like he's shut down. And in a comment he made yesterday to the media in Peoria, he goes, man, I feel like I just had surgery. So this is not anything that I'm overly concerned about. Am I concerned? Yes. Overly concerned? Not yet. There's no timetable for him to throw another bullpen. There's obviously no timetable for him to make another start. But I was reading through the tea leaves on this one, that I did not think he would be built up enough to, start the season and make that start on that Saturday. I presume, slotted in as the number 3 guy in the rotation. They play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, off day Sunday after the Tiger series, then the Giants come in on Monday night. So I would tend to doubt that Joe Musgrove will be on the opening day roster as of right now. I just hope at some point in time, if it's later in April or even May, you get him back because it's just an added boost to the rotation. So now that may open up another spot in the rotation. But again, Joe's made one bullpen appearance, and right now we don't know when he's going to throw again. So you got to be careful. I mean, this guy's coming off Tommy John surgery. He's worked hard. I thought his arm looked great the day that he pitched. I know, that first inning they had to take him out. He was struggling. Then he came in, and I thought threw the ball pretty well. The longer he was out there that day, the better he was pitching. But right now, Joe Musgrove pretty much put on hold over there in Peoria. Now let's get to Nick Pivetta. Now here's another guy I think have to be concerned about. He's coming off a career year last year, and he pitched great. I mean, he was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball last year. But now he missed his Sunday start with arm fatigue. He threw an easy bullpen on Tuesday. He's expected to throw a bullpen tomorrow, Thursday, and they're hoping he can start on Saturday. But we don't know. I think it's interesting. You got him going through what I call the dead arm period. Ramon Laureano, who we're going to talk about here in a minute, he had general body fatigue. But Nick Pivetta threw a lot of innings last year, threw a lot of pitches. It'll be interesting if he's ready to go. And I presumed, and I really thought he would be when they reported the spring training. I figured Nick Pivetta would be the opening day starter, just on what he was able to get done last year. But now I think that's in question. So right now he threw a little touch and feel bullpen yesterday, which was Tuesday. Going to throw his regularly scheduled bullpen tomorrow. And then again, he's slated to throw on Saturday. And let's cross our fingers and cross our toes, and hopefully he stays healthy and gets back out there. I mean, all of us that have played baseball, I don't care if you were a pitcher, a catcher, an infielder, an outfielder, early in the year, you go through what you call the dead arm period, where you just don't feel right. You're throwing the ball, but you don't have the little extra zip on it. Your arm's a little fatigued. That's normal. But again, you're always concerned with an arm. You only got one arm. You only got so many bullets. So Nick Pivetta. Now Ramon Laureano, he could have played yesterday. He'd been down with general body fatigue, and he came to manager Craig Stammen yesterday and go, "Hey Skip, I'm ready to go today." He goes, "Hey, look," and this was a smart move by a rookie manager. Real good move. This is where you can really help your ball club. He said, "Hey, Ramon, I'm not playing you today because you get today off, you get tomorrow off, and then we don't play until Thursday night. So, you're getting a day off today, one tomorrow, so that's two, and then the other one is late at night at 6:10, so you're getting almost 3 more days off." That was smart. And, Laureano take a little catch, do a little light jog, take a few swings in the bat, do whatever. But he didn't have to worry to go out there and play yesterday with a day off today and not playing again until a night game tomorrow night. So Ramon Laureano is key to this ball club, folks. I mean, you got Merrill and you got Tatis Jr., but you got to get something out of left field. And if he puts up the numbers that he put up last year combined, early in the year before he came to San Diego and what he did with the Padres, he ended up with 24 dingers last year. You get 24 dingers or even 20 out of your left fielder, you take it. You figure your center fielder is going to hit 20. Okay, I'd like him to hit 25, and maybe he will in Jackson Merrill, but I'll take 20. And I'd like to see Fernando. Congratulations to Fernando hitting that grand slam the other day. I would love to see Fernando hit at least 30. I mean, he hit 25 last year, and I'll be personally say I was disappointed. I want to see Fernando do a little more offensively this year. He hit 268 last year. There are a lot of guys that hit 268. He hit 25 home runs. Nowadays, there's a lot of guys that hit 25 home runs. That was nothing to get over excited about. I want to see him hit 30. And I'd like Manny. Manny's going to hit somewhere between 25 and 30, probably closer to 30 than he is 25. But, you get 25 here, 20 there. You get maybe Another 18, 19, 20 out of Gavin Sheets. I'll take that. I mean, those are good numbers. I'd see Cronenworth jack that up, hit 15 this year. He didn't hit, he hit 11 last year, I think, something like that. Bogarts is not going to hit 17 to 23 home runs like he did with Boston. It's just not going to happen. Not going to happen. But anyways, Laureano should be back tomorrow night. Good news on that front. Okay, let's get to the WBC. Now, this is unbelievable to me. Not that they got beat last night by Italy 8-6. And by the way, the Padres had three Padres pitch in that game last night. Alec Jacob, Ron Marinaccio pitched for the Italians, and they gave up a little bit. Alec Jacob, a third of an inning, 2 runs, both third, gave up a 3-run bomb to PCA, Pete Go Armstrong, and then Ron Marinaccio, 2/3 of an inning, a hit, a run, gave up a homer as well. Mason Miller pitched for Team USA, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts. But in that game, Italy was up at 1.8 nothing, and the United States rallied. But here's my problem. Now they're in trouble. Okay. I'm going to take you through here in a second. I'm going to take you through what has to happen for the United States to move on. But Mark DeRosa, okay, I think he's a nice enough guy. Okay, he's on the MLB network. Sometimes he probably comes across on TV as pretty much a know-it-all. And, he had a nice major league career. And I'm not going to kill this guy for making a mistake, but this was a big mistake he made yesterday. He was on with Harold Reynolds and our buddy Matt Vasgersian on the MLB network, where when he's not masquerading as a manager of Team USA, he's an analyst. He was a Team USA manager in 2023 when they got beat by Japan. Okay, yesterday morning, and being a coach, I don't know how he could have made this mistake. I have no idea, and I'm sure the officials for Team USA must have just been cringing when this came out of his mouth yesterday on the MLB network. He told Matty V and told Harold Reynolds, this was after the game they won the night before on Tuesday night against Mexico. They had a 5-0 lead. They hung on 5-3. Okay, so they go 3-0 in the bracket. Mark DeRosa yesterday on MLB Network, he goes, we want to win this game even though our ticket's punched to the quarterfinals. Their ticket was not punched to the quarterfinals. How can you come on? I mean, this is like probably 9, 12 hours after you beat Mexico. How can you not know the scenario for your ball club? How can you not know that? The ticket was not punched. And their ticket may not get punched. They may get punched right in the mouth. Because tonight, Mexico and Italy go at it at 4 o'clock. Now, let's put up the scenarios, Jonathan. We're going to take a look at the scenarios. This is what has to happen for the United States to be able to qualify and move on to the quarterfinals. Now, if they do not, Mark DeRosa obviously gets fired. Okay, he doesn't get another opportunity, as far as I'm concerned. You got to find somebody else. But here's how Team USA can advance in the WBC. Team USA moves on if Italy beats Mexico. Italy would win the pool at 4-0. Team USA would finish second at 3-1, ahead of Mexico's 2-2 mark. That's what you need to happen, even though I don't really want to pull against Mexico because I like them. Nothing against Italy, but Mexico's a little bit closer to me than Italy. Okay, now, if Mexico, this is where it gets tricky. If Mexico beats Italy and Mexico scores 5 or more runs in 9 innings, all 3 teams would finish 3-1. Mexico and Team USA would then advance on the tiebreaker. You never, ever, ever want to put yourself in a situation on a tiebreaker. Now, Team USA is eliminated if Mexico beats Italy and scores 4 or fewer runs in 9 innings. All 3 teams would finish 3-1. Mexico and Italy would then advance on tiebreaker. Okay, now go ahead and digest this. I'm not going to remember that. I just know this. If you definitely want United States to advance, you want Italy to beat Mexico tonight. That game's at 4 o'clock. I think it's on FS1. But how can Mark DeRosa not know that his team is not qualified? I don't know. I mean, that's beyond belief to me. I knew every little thing about when we were in a tournament, what had to happen or what had already happened, and who had to beat who. Yet he was able to get a good night's sleep, come on television yesterday, and say, "Yeah, we want to win the game. I want to win every game." It's kind of. I'll tell you a funny story. Last night, uh, my granddaughters, and I mentioned her team at Torrey Pines, their beach volleyball team. They won a tournament down in Ocean Beach, La Jolla Classic over the weekend, a 12-team tournament. Well, they played yesterday. They had their league opener up at Oceanside. So my wife and I, we went up there, sat on the beach, and watched her team defeat the Pirates. I got to tell you, the Lady Pirates, watching their program grow, coach doing a good job up there. They've come a long ways in the last couple of years. But Torrey is very good, and they won. Granddaughter had a great day. And then we got in the car and went down and watched my 7-year-old grandson. And I got to share with you who my grandson's coach is. You're not going to believe this. And he's played for him before. He always picks my grandson. And that's Steve Woods of the Ben and Woods show. Steve Woods is my grandson's Little League coach. And so my daughter says to me, he goes, "Yeah, Steve said that, the first 3 games don't count. They're kind of like scrimmage games." And my grandson caught the first 4 innings, and he played first, and he came back and caught the last inning. For a 7-year-old kid, this kid, pretty good little player, and they really nice ball club. And she goes, "Well, Steve said the games don't really count." And I go, "Hey, look up there." And she looks, and she goes, "Oh, the scoreboard?" I go, "Yeah." I go, "Whenever a scoreboard is on, that means the game counts, at least with a ball player. If you don't want the games to count, then don't turn the scoreboard on. But anytime you're out there, you want to play, and you want to play well, and have a good night and go home feeling good about yourself." They won last night 4-2. How about this? 8 and 9-year-olds, and my grandson hadn't turned 8 yet, but he will here very shortly. So he had to play in the 8 to 9. I got to tell you, both teams last night, hell of a game. They played 6 innings in 2 hours. That's pretty good for kids 8 and 9 years old. And they didn't throw the ball all over the ballpark. I mean, pretty well schooled kids. A lot of talent up there in that Encinitas Little League. So, but anyways, the scoreboard's on, so it counts. So for Mark DeRosa, and I hate to get on him because I actually like him, but I'll be honest with you, that's inexcusable. And then after the game last night, he admitted to the media, "I misspoke this morning." I give him credit for that. But man, can you imagine the United States? And this is the best team we've ever sent. And can you imagine if they do not qualify? I mean, Mark DeRosa gets fired. I mean, there's no way you can bring him back as a manager. I mean, he'll have been 0-2. He won't even have gotten out of bracket play if they don't qualify. So right now, tonight, man, you got to be pulling for Italy. If you're a United States baseball fan, you got to be pulling for Italy. So, boy, I'll tell you that Mexico game the other night. Mexico, they were down 5-0. They came back and they put a lot of pressure on the U.S. They came up short, but that was a hell of a ball game. And the atmosphere was damn good there the other night. So, anyways, that's what has to happen tonight. And anytime you put yourselves into a tiebreaker, not a good situation. Not a good situation at all. Okay, we're going to get out. I want to get to your questions. There has to be a concern right now, folks. There has to be a concern about the Padres starting pitching staff. Michael King is not, I don't think, look good. Everybody can say what they want. Look at the numbers. Watch him pitch. Been very up and down. He is healthy, so there is hope. But Pivetta coming back from a little fatigue. Musgrove, not completely shut down, but they're going very slow with Joe. And you got some other guys, the best thing, Walker Buehler threw good yesterday. Ramon Marquez threw good the other day. So, I'd like to get your thoughts, and I'll be honest with you, it'll be good to get Manny and Fernando back and Bogarts. Well, Bogarts will be on his way back. He might be back in camp right now, or they may have said, "Hey, take a day off. We'll see you Thursday." So I would imagine Bogarts will probably be back tomorrow. Netherlands, they had a rough go. They had a rough go. Let's get out to questions. You got any questions for me? Love to answer them. We're also going to get into a little college basketball. USD hired a new coach. Quite frankly, don't know a lot about him, but they got a new coach, and wow, they got a lot to work to do out there at Alcala Park. I can tell you that. Okay, let's get out to our questions today. I'm sure everybody's got a question. Matt, what would your approach be to coaching a WBC team? Well, I think you know it'd be hard. It would not be an easy task. I mean, number one, getting guys to commit is tough. And then you got to get the high quality guys that really like to play. And I think this group likes to play. I just think, pitching, McLean wasn't great last night. Overall, the pitching was not great last night. But I think you got to walk on eggshells with some of the players. But, I think guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Aaron Judge, those guys are good dudes. They're really good dudes. And, this is nothing about the ball. They just got beat last night. I mean, Michael Lorenzen went out there and threw a pretty decent ball game, and they jumped all over Team USA. Man, they were up 8-0 at one point. US had to rally, and they cut it to 8-6, and thank goodly they did that. And, get some runs on the board. I don't know. It'd be tough. I think they got a good coaching staff. But you got to perform. See, we always talk about, it's like if I'm doing the post game show for the Padres, like I did for, 13 years, everybody calls in and says, well, this guy didn't do this guy didn't do that. You got to remember the guys on the other squad are out there, they get paid too. And they come out every day at 2:30 and take ground balls and work on their swing and, do things like that. We always focus on what our team didn't do as a fan. We got to also at times, and I don't like to do it all the time, but I don't like tipping my cap. There were so many years I had to tip my cap to the pitcher of the other team. I will tell you the difference about ball playing now, really at all levels and in all sports. When I was growing up, I always had respect for the guys that I played against, and I don't think the big league guys are disrespectful, but I think amateur players as they're coming up, uh, and they get into college and some of the hijinks you see from some of these college players in all sports, um, you got to show respect for your opponent because I've always been a believer. If you don't respect your opponent to the fullest, you will never perform at your highest level. And I really believe that. And I mean, there were guys that I could not stand that I played against in high school. And then I played with them in junior college. And I found out, you know what? These guys are okay. But they were just like me. They wanted to kick my ass. I wanted to kick their ass. And I wanted to win. And they wanted to win. And then you get on the team and realize, hey, these guys are pretty good dudes, man. They like playing. But you've got to respect your opponent. I mean, there were guys that I disliked, but I respected their ability. I respected what they could get done. And I could go on and on about guys that I played with. Some guys were great. Other guys were total turds, but then they became teammates and we found out that, they're okay. But you got to respect your opponent. And but as far as getting back to, coaching or managing the WBC team, I mean, you got to recruit these guys and let them play. And you got to stay motivated. Everybody has to be motivated. Just because they're making a lot of money and they got Team USA, you still got to motivate ball players to do the best they possibly can. But I got to give Team Italy a lot of credit. They did a good job last night, and they earned that victory. They go out there tonight and they beat Mexico. They're going to be the number one seed, and the United States is going to get by the skin of their teeth. Going to be interesting. Going to be interesting, Matt. I hope that answered your question a little bit, but I think it's a difficult task, and I think it's difficult because DeRosa's never managed. I mean, if you had a guy like Dusty Baker or Bruce Bochy, managing, or Terry Francona, it'd be a different environment, I think. I think DeRosa probably kowtows to the players a little bit. He can't really bite down on these guys. He's never managed. I mean, he managed in WBC in 2023. That's his managerial experience. Maybe he managed his one of his kids' little league teams or softball teams. I don't know how many boys and girls. I know he's got some kids, but I don't. He never managed. So probably a little bit different. I mean, if Tommy Lasorda was still around, Tommy managing, not that he'd be managing at 90-something years old, but, he managed the Olympic team. They won a gold medal that one time. Sean Burroughs played on that team. Late, great Sean Burroughs, good guy. I always liked Sean. I was a big fan of his. But anyways, Matt, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, Rome, Mexico not knowing rules in 2013. WBC caused a huge fight with Canada. Yeah, well, you got to know the rules. And you know what? I'll tell you, the WBC, and I'm sure they do, I got to believe that they've got somebody in each dugout where, some guy sits down there and has to be, kind of the eyes and ears of the WBC and lets managers know so you don't have problems. The thing that I don't like, there should never ever be a rule at any level. Youth ball, I don't care what sport it is, soccer, basketball, baseball, it don't matter. There should never ever be a tiebreaker who scores the most runs or scores the most points. I'm going to tell you that right now because that promotes poor sportsmanship. That promotes running up the score. Okay? If you want to have a tiebreaker, it should be the least amount of runs allowed, not who scored the most runs. You'd never want to promote running up the score. And most of you out there that have coached have the wisdom not to be a jerk. But don't run the score up, okay? Take your star players out, set them on the bench, let other kids play, and if you score runs, great. But don't run up the score on anybody. I don't care what sport it is. I'll tell you a story. I was coaching freshman basketball at Torrey Pines. I had a really good team. Um, John Allred, who ended up playing in the NFL, was on that team. Peter Bates, who played at TCU as a basketball player. Ryan Cunningham. I had some really good players on my freshman basketball team. And I had 8 guys. I had my team was split in half. Half of my team was playing in a Poway tournament. The other 8 guys were playing for me at Torrey Pines in our tournament. Well, we got a big lead against San Diego, and this is before it was La Costa Canyon. It was actually San Diego, not San Diego Academy. And I played my bench. My 3 bench guys were playing a lot. Well, 2 of the 3 guys fouled out because I'd played them so much in the game. So I had to bring 2 of my starters back in to finish the game. And I'll never forget Ryan Cunningham, who ended up transferring to Mira Mesa. He actually became a very good pitcher. Hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer. And I was going, oh my God, we beat these guys by 69 points. I was so embarrassed. And to this day, I carry that with me. And I said to my assistant, I go, this coach may want to punch me right in the mouth. And to the coach's credit, he had the dignity just to shake hands and say, hey, you got a great ball club and all that. I was totally embarrassed. The game got completely out of hand because I would have had a deeper bench, but I sent my 9th through 15th guys to this other tournament, and they were good, and they ended up, I think, winning the tournament. But anyways, I had 8 guys, and 2 of the 3 bench guys fouled out, so I had to put my starters back in, and we beat these guys by 69. I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed. That's not who I am. But anyways, you got to know the rules. And you got to have somebody, whether it's on your staff or the WBC, that has to lay it out for you. Maybe even inning by inning, if it's a tiebreaker scenario, to remind you what you need to try to get done. So that's you got to know the rules. Got to know the rules. Can't be in that dugout being helter skelter on whether you're going to advance or not, because you might do something to where you could have scored another run to advance and the guy gets thrown out, or and you come up a run short and you lose on the tiebreaker. Got to know the rules. Got to know the scenarios. Rome, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. All right, Shep Connect. Coach, I'm concerned. Season starts in 2 weeks. Who covers 5, 6, 7 innings? Well, I think the bullpen, I think you're in good shape. I mean, I think, I mentioned Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart is going to be what you call a swing man. He's going to be able to kind of be that long reliever. If a guy gets knocked out in the third inning, he's going to be able to, go in there, give you, bulk innings, 3, 4, 5, maybe even, 4 innings if you need it. Depends on where the game is. You may let him have, pitch a couple or three, and then you go to your big shooters if you're still tied or leading in the game. I think Padres bullpen wise are going to be great. The thing that I'm concerned about right now, none of these starters are being built up. I mean, yesterday you had Walker Buehler, throw 68 pitches, which is good. I want to see Michael King go out there and be more effective than he has been in his first couple of starts. But you got to get their pitch count up by opening day to at least 85. You can't send a starter out there opening day thinking he's going to throw 65 or 70 pitches. You got to go in there with the mindset that you're going to throw 85 pitches. And adrenaline may get you to 90 that first game. But you got to be in shape. You can't strain out there and hurt yourself. But I think the Padres bullpen is going to be dynamite. I really do. I think Morejon will have another good year. I was looking at his number. He won 13 games out of the bullpen last year. That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, an incredible year last year. He's got to follow it up. You're going to get Jason Adam back. You got David Morgan, who I was a big fan of. Estrada. A big thing with Estrada, he got to cut down on those home runs. Gave up too many home runs last year. And you'll get Matsui back. Wandy Peralta ended up having a really nice year. I mean, I think Craig Stammen's got a great bullpen. And then we didn't even mention Mason Miller. Mason Miller, hey, stay healthy, big guy. Keep throwing that 103-mile-an-hour fastball, but stay healthy. Bullpen will be fine. But again, we can't stretch the bullpen out early in the year to where these guys are, coming in 3 out of 4 games. You got to give some guys time off, and the deeper starters can go, the more bullets you keep alive out in that bullpen. And I think there are going to be some guys, a guy like Logan Gillespie. Where does he fall into this? He may make this team. He's pitching great. And Yuki Matsui going to probably start the year on the IL. But you're still going to have plenty of left-handers in the bullpen. Morejon, Wandy Peralta, Kyle Hart. I mean, you got 3. Matsui comes back, and you keep the other 3. You're going to have 4 left-handers in the bullpen along with 4 right-handers. That's going to be pretty dynamic. That's going to create problems for the other ball club. I don't care who it is. You've got the ability to have 4 left-handers coming out of the bullpen, that's huge. And then with the talent of the right-handers, holy Toledo. I mean, you got some guys that bring heat. I mean, Miller and Morgan and Estrada, and you get not that Jason Adam, throws 100 miles an hour, but he got great breaking stuff. So you got it. The bullpen's going to be great, but you can't wear these guys out early in the year. You got to keep them fresh because, hey, you're going into the season expecting to pitch in October. And you got to be ready to October. And you can't wear these guys out in the first 3 months of the year to where they're hanging on by fumes the final 3 months and into the postseason. Shep Connect, thank you very much. Very much appreciated. You guys come up with great questions. This show is fun because you guys make it fun. You guys make it fun for me. You really do. Big Steve Tejas, hi, Coach. I think pitchers need to be in shape body-wise, not just their arms. Like you said, legs are a huge part of pitching. Could this be the problem? I hated running. Yeah, I remember you hated running. But it's a must for a pitcher. Absolutely. But you know what? There's things you can do, and I'm not going to get into the coaching aspect. There's things you can do to where guys are conditioning and they don't even realize it. You don't have to just run line to lines. You can do fungos. And when I was at Southwestern, we used to hit fungos to everybody at the end of practice. They'd start like in left center field and run towards right center. We'd hit fly balls, and we'd have pitchers out there and the whole team. And it was a fun thing. If you made a great catch, you'd get an orange on your way to the clubhouse. But you got to be strong. From the waist down, you got to be powerful. In your hips and leg area, you got to be powerful because that's how you pitch and that's how you cut down on shoulder and elbow injuries. Got to be in the best shape you can be. Pitchers have to be in better shape than position players, in my opinion. And they've got more time to work on it too, by the way. They got every day after they pitch, there's certain things pitchers have to do. And a big part of it is keeping those legs strong. I know, and I don't want to go back to the old, this is the way they used to do it. But Nolan Ryan never was on the IL. Do you realize that? Nolan Ryan, all the years he pitched, he was never on, in those days, called the disabled list, which we call now the injured list. Never, ever in his entire career. And one of the reasons why God gave him a great arm, okay, but it also gave him a great body. But Nolan Ryan worked at it. A day after he pitched, he would go and he would run 10 miles. Now, I don't expect everybody to go out there and run 10 miles, but you've got to get that lactic acid out of your system. And he would go out and run 10 miles. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I'd be happy to run 3 miles. And actually, when I was in junior college with Steve Tays, we used to run 3 miles around that campus at Maricosta. Yeah, I remember those days. We used to run 3 miles before practice, and then we'd go practice for 2.5 hours. And our coach was tough, man. He wasn't an easy guy to play for. But I learned a lot from him, and he gave me my first college coaching job. After I'd coached 3 years at Torrey Pines, I got my first coaching job by John Seeley up there at Maricosta. But he wasn't an easy guy to play for, I can tell you that. Once he walked through that third base gate with his little ball bag, man, you better be ready to go. And I was like, I think I mentioned this a while back. When you played for him, if you didn't run out a ground ball and hit the front side of the bag, you may better seriously consider transferring to another school before you got back to the dugout. And anybody that ever played for him and they hear me say that, they'll say, man, that's true. You better run out every ground ball. I don't care if you hit a one hopper back to the pitcher and you're out by 75 feet. You better run through that bag the proper way, or you're going to hear about it when you come back to the dugout. But Steve, I agree with you. You got to be in tremendous shape as a pitcher. You got to work. You got to work. You got to work. Thanks again, bud. You hope all's well. All right, Big Norm Lee, do you buy Raleigh's comments after refusing to acknowledge his Mariners teammate Rosarena at the WBC? It was inexplicable on his part. I thought at first it might be, kind of joking, but that's a problem. That's a problem. If a guy's reaching out to you, uh, he's not Ty Cobb, okay? You can acknowledge your teammate, a guy that you've gone to battle with, a guy you won a division title with last year, went deep into the playoffs with. You can acknowledge him, okay? And I don't that will be interesting. I'm sure they'll sing "Kumbaya" once they get back to Peoria and this and that. But that was unfortunate. And you know what? Just acknowledge him. And you know what? That would have been really cool if Raleigh would have acknowledged him, because it looked like a Rosarena was trying to, be a cool dude. I don't know a Rosarena from a can of paint, but I enjoy. I think he's a fun guy to watch play. I don't know what kind of guy he is, a good guy, bad. I don't know, but I kind of get a kick out of watching him play. But that could have been handled a lot better by Cal Raleigh, in my opinion. Anyways, that's what I got on that one, Norm. That could have been a good moment of showing great sportsmanship, actually. Nothing wrong with doing that. Jonathan, what team do you see that is under the radar that might make a push for the postseason? The Giants. Giants are a little scared. I don't know what to expect out of the Giants. I think Arizona in our division is going to be good. I don't know if they're going to be great. I think they're going to be kind of a fly in the ointment. I don't think they're as good as they were last year or the prior couple of years, but I think Arizona can beat you. But the Giants seem to be putting together a nice little ball club up there, and they got a big bopper with Devers. He'll be a full year with the Giants. They got some players. I mean, they got some players up there. They're going to be a problem. And Eldridge, that big 6'7" kid, I don't know if he's going to break with the big ball club, but everybody's telling me, a phenom. Well, we'll find out. He's still very, very young. Kind of a lot like Ethan Salas. He's a little bit older than Ethan Salas. But this guy has actually put up numbers. Ethan offensively hasn't really put up numbers in the minor leagues yet, but Eldridge has. So we'll see what he brings to the table. But yeah, the Giants bother me a little bit because do think they've got good pitching. I think their defense, that left side of that infield with Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, awful good. Luis Ariz, you put him in there. He's a good little table setter. So it'll be a very interesting year with the Giants. We're going to see the Giants, that Monday after the day off on Sunday from the Tigers series. We're going to see them up close and personal. Tony Vitello, that'll be interesting to watch. Could you imagine Tony Vitello taking the Giants to the postseason in his first year as a skipper? I'm pulling for him because you know what? There are a lot of great college head coaches out there. Not that they're going to be managers in the big leagues, but everybody underscored college baseball. There are a lot of great baseball people in college baseball. A lot of great coaches. I mean, they're teachers. They know how to teach the game. And a lot of guys could manage from the standpoint of, hey, we're going to bunt, we're going to hit and run, we're going to steal, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. A lot of guys can do that, but you got to be able to communicate with your ball players. You got to motivate them. You got to, touch them every day in some way, shape, or form. Let them know that you're on their side. You're pulling for them. But there are a lot of good teachers in college baseball. Not every manager can go out and show a guy how to turn a double play, believe it or not. They kind of have the basics, but a lot of good managers, they get good coaches, loyal coaches. They go out there and get the job done. I don't know if Bruce Bochy's going to go out and teach a guy how to turn double play from shortstop. Okay, he knows a lot, but not every manager knows all the different positions. They know kind of the basics of playing outfield, playing third base, what you got to do down there. But a lot of it comes down to personality. Can you manage and communicate with ball players? That's a big part of it. Jonathan, thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Okay, let's get into college basketball. Just kind of give you the layout for the next couple of days. Aztecs 20-10. Tomorrow night, Thursday night, Mountain West Championship quarterfinal. They're going to be playing the winner of Fresno State, Colorado State tonight. I would think Colorado State. Aztecs split with Colorado State in their two meetings this year. They both won on their home court, so we'll see what they can get done there. I don't know what my expectations are of the Aztecs, but I think as soon as they either win the tournament or, whenever their season's over, let's put it that way. It'll be interesting to see how many guys are going to jump ship. Man overboard. I kind of expect a little bit of a turnover. I don't know, a big turnover. It could be. There may be some guys they don't want to bring back. And then there's going to be obviously some guys that aren't going to come back. I mean, Reese Dixon Waters is going to be done. His eligibility will be exhausted. But yesterday, Miles Bird, Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to him. He made third team all conference. He was a preseason Player of the Year, but never really played up to that potential. Did play good defense, so he was awarded the Defensive Player of the Year. Reese Dixon Waters, second team, and B.J. Davis, honorable mention, all conference. Now, UC San Diego, they've got a chance. We'll see what happens. But there's 8 teams in the Big West Championships over in Henderson, Nevada. And I'm going to tell you this. And I called 16 of UC San Diego's games. I saw all the teams they're going to be playing. Anybody can win this. This is one tournament. Anybody can win. Anybody can win. And they play tonight. In the first round, they play Cal Poly. Now, Cal Poly's got the guy that led the league in scoring, Hamad Musa, about 6'8" forward. He's a transfer from Dayton. And only guy in the conference that averaged 20 points a game. They get up and down the court. They split. UC San Diego lost up at the Mott Center at Cal Poly earlier, 67-65, and then they got Cal Poly a couple of weeks ago here in San Diego, beat them pretty good. This is going to be a great game. And the winner of that game will play CSUN, and CSUN's really good. They get up and down the court. But I'm telling you right now, UC San Diego, they've got to win 4 games in 4 days, which is not going to be easy. San Diego State's got to win 3-3. Not going to be easy. But both these teams are very capable of winning their conference tournaments. So tonight's game will be on ESPN Plus. My buddy Steve Quiss calling the game. And that should be fun. I'm looking forward to listening to Steve tonight. But anything can happen. And then yesterday they announced the all conference teams. UC San Diego didn't have one player on first or second team all conference, but they did have three players that were honorable mention. Leo Beath, Bold Dangnit, and Hudson Mays all made honorable mention. So good news on that front. Okay, let's get to our coach's mailbag. See what we got in the coach's mailbag. See, this show here, I'm telling you right, you get more information for a couple. Number one, I know people, I get great information. But number two, there's no commercials. There are no commercials. Okay, Fallbrook Manny. Hey, Coach K, one contributing factor to underperformance by San Diego sports teams, in my view, is the lack of consistent messaging from coaching staff and leadership. Yeah, I would probably agree. I don't know. I just it's hard for me to say about this because a lot of people, and I'll be very honest, there are a lot of people in the sports industry that have no business being in the sports industry. I look at my background. I've been around some incredible coaches when I was coaching. Um, I feel I could coach just about any sport from the simple standpoint of knowing how to communicate with ball players. My greatest strength as a coach was my passion and caring for my athletes. And I always put my athletes in front of my own personal goals. I mean, I want to win. And when you win, that brings notoriety. But I wanted to do the things that you needed to do to win long term, not short term. And there are a lot of people probably working in the sports industry in San Diego sports. They're happy to live in San Diego. They're happy to have a job. And yeah, they want to win and they know they need to win, or they're probably not going to have a job all that long. But a lot of them just seem to be a little bit overmatched. And I think there's some, I think there's some management people in professional sports in San Diego that are probably a little bit overmatched. And I'm not going to point any fingers, but I mentioned, I showed you my rings a couple of weeks ago on a podcast. I was the GM of the Sockers and it was the vice president of operations for 6 years, and we had a great success. And I know that's indoor soccer, but it doesn't matter. It was like they got these ABA teams around town. You see any of those ABA teams? I think the Sharks, and I'm not sure who else is playing this year. They do a nice job marketing. But if I was in charge of something like that, I mean, I'd be everywhere. I would be everywhere trying to get people to come in to sample my product, because once they come in and sample the product, they're going to want to come back. But I don't know. I just my whole life has been wrapped around sports. From the time I was 8 years old, starting little league, and even before that, when I was little, 'cause my brother was a high school and college football player. My dad was a college football player and a professional boxer. I mean, I came from a family of athletes, and my whole life has been around athletics. And I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, but I've also had the fortunate uh, ability to coach some incredible athletes, whether they were at Torrey Pines or Maricosta or Southwestern or Texas Tech. I was around some incredible athletes, and I'm thankful for that. But when I was a young coach, when I got my first coaching job at Torrey Pines working with Craig Scoggins, right then, I knew a lot. I knew more than the average bear because I studied the game since I was a little boy, and I was a catcher, and I've learned a lot. Um, but I was smart enough when I got into coaching to keep my mouth shut and my eyes and ears open. And I wanted to learn from everybody. And I learned so much from Coach Scoggins, who had played for Wally Kincaid at Cerritos College. And every day we worked out of the Wally Kincaid fundamental book. And I learned that. I had played for John Seeley at Miracosta, who coached Chris Chambliss and Doc Edwards and Kevin Towers after I came through, along with a lot of other great players and a lot of guys that went on and played pro ball. And he was a fundamental coach. And then I went and played. Not only did I play for him, he gave me my first college coaching job, as I mentioned earlier. Then I went down to Southwestern, worked with Jerry Bartow. And Jerry Bartow had been coaching, over 40 years at that time. And so I was around great great coaches when I was a young coach. And, very fortunate. And then I was around a lot of scouts: Dave Garcia, Al Kupski, Orrin Freeman, Gary. Uh, I can't think of Gary's last name right now. But anyways, a lot of great baseball. Gary Hughes, who worked with the Marlins and the Yankees. I was around a lot of great scouts and learned a lot. So I just think there are a lot of people that they get into it for a variety of different reasons. But I have no doubt that if I was involved to this day with a professional organization, it may take a while, but I have no doubt there would be a winning organization, because I won't stand for anything less. And I'm willing to put in the time. Not everybody's willing to put in the time. I mean, you got to, eat, drink, and sleep it. It's that simple. But Fallbrook Manny, thank you very much. And I don't disagree with you on that. Some people, hey, if you find a way to get into a spot like that, make big money, more power to them. But that money, I know you got to have money to live, but that's never been my biggest priority. My biggest priority when I was coaching is develop ball players and win our fair share of games. All right, biggest mistake ever. No Pujols as San Diego Padre manager. We got trash Stammen. I don't think you can say that. Nobody else hired Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols had plenty of opportunities. I mean, even the Angels, who knew him better than anybody, they didn't hire him. So, I mean, I wouldn't bag on Craig Stammen yet. I mean, you can't bag on the guy. He hadn't even managed the game. Give him a break. How about if they start out 10-1? Everybody's going to be saying, "Oh man, this is a great out of the box hire." Don't bash on Stammen yet. Give him a chance. But nobody's hired Albert Pujols yet. What happened? How come he hadn't gotten a job? He interviewed in Baltimore. He interviewed with the Angels. He interviewed with the Padres. Nobody gave him a job. Why? Maybe he doesn't know the analytics well enough. How about that? Analytics. I was talking to a player. I mentioned I was at my grandson's game last night. I got a phone call from a ball player. And my wife goes, "Who's it?" And I go, "Well, I got to take this phone call." And we were talking about analytics. And I go, "Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's guys that can't play, yet teams sign them because their analytics look good. But you know what? How about, can the guy get the job done on the field? Can the guy get the job on the field? The eye test. These organizations aren't signing guys on eye tests anymore. You got to have the spin rate, or you got to have the exit velocity, or they don't sign you. It's mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling to me. You know that there's a lot of good players going to foreign countries because they can't get jobs in the United States now? That's mind-boggling to me. Well, a lot of it had to do with Rob Manfred wiping out 42 minor league ball clubs a few years back. Can't wait for him to go bye-bye. There's a guy that shouldn't be the commissioner of baseball, I can tell you that. Okay, what else we got today? Thank you for watching. Okay, hey, great show today, gang. And that last question talking about Stammen, I don't mind questions like that. In fact, I look forward to those questions. Where this is an interactive YouTube show. Okay, I want questions. I want questions like that. And once they get the games going, I'm sure we're gonna, they lose 3-4 in a row. We're gonna hear about it, and that's okay. We'll break it all down for you. I love this stuff, man. The grind is almost here. March 26th, man, the grind starts. But we got to get our pitchers healthy. Okay, getting out of here. I'll be in Friday, and we'll have another big show. We're going to talk about the Padre bullpen on Friday, and I'm looking forward to that. And we'll go pitcher by pitcher, and I'll give you who I think is going to break. And I also think I'm going to put right out of the gate, I'm going to have to do a little make a few phone calls regarding Jason Adams. I'm not sure he's going to be ready. Brian Hoeing won't be ready. Yuki Matsui probably not going to be ready. But I'll come up with the 8 guys that I think will be there on opening day, standing on the white chalk line along the first base side. Reminder, please subscribe. Very much appreciate it if you'd subscribe. Please like, please share, please tell a friend. And if you would like, we would certainly love for you to be a part of our Gold Glove membership at $2.99 a month. You just go to our YouTube page, hit join. Also, make sure that when you're watching the show, folks, please make your comments. I would love to hear your comments. And we'll be back in at 9 a.m. on Friday morning. Until then, for my producer, director, the great Jonathan Oliveri, Coach John Kentera, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.